All right, everybody, I am back with a brand new movie review today. This is going to be the first of two movie reviews. And today I'm reviewing Mission Impossible Fallout, which is the previous Mission Impossible before Dead Reckoning, which hits theaters today, and I am actually seeing it in a few hours. Now, I'm going to have three videos today. This video, I will do my DC update prior to going to the theater. And then when I get back, I'm going to do the Dead Reckoning review. And I'm doing this review because I was not reviewing movies on YouTube back when this movie came out in 2018. And I really enjoyed this movie, and I want to do a quick review of it, and I wanted to watch it again in prep for the new movie. And I am toying with the idea of doing videos where I do multiple reviews in one video. They may not be recorded at the same time, but to maximize you guys being able to see these and getting them promoted on YouTube, I might do 2 or 3 movie reviews in one video with chapter markers in there for each one. If you guys like that idea, let me know, because I can start combining stuff. There's a few things I've reviewed recently, watched, that I want to do reviews on, but I don't want them using up my 3 videos a day. And so I've got to be smart about the content that I put out and to help grow my channel. And so I may end up doing multiple movie reviews in one. Let me know if you guys are interested in that. So let's talk about Mission Impossible Fallout. For me, the Mission Impossible series has always been a fun series for me. And I felt like this movie, prior to seeing it, I felt like it was going to just be a retread of all the action films. Like, for me, the James Bond movies are getting old. Even my wife said, she goes with me to every film, and we just, these things are getting kind of old and worn out. Well, I went into this movie expecting it to be just ho-hum, just like the last couple of previous Mission Impossible movies, but we got something a whole lot greater in this film. In fact, this is my favorite film of the Mission Impossible franchise. We do have Tom Cruise returning as Ethan Hunt. You had Ving Rhames back as Luther. You had Rebecca Ferguson returning. She was from a previous Mission Impossible where she's an MI6 agent. You have Angela Bassett in here as Erica Stone. She's kind of in charge of everybody. Simon Pegg was back as Benji, part of the group. And then we had Solomon Lane, played by Sean Harris. He was the bad guy in a previous Mission Impossible, and he makes his way back into this film. In fact, the film opens up with Ethan Hunt having a nightmare with him in there where his wife gets nuked by a nuclear bomb at their wedding. It's just a very weird, uncomfortable type scene. And then we have a couple of newcomers here. We have Henry Cavill. Superman himself is in the movie playing August Walker. He is another agent that is basically set to babysit Tom Cruise after Tom Cruise and his group lose some plutonium and end up helping each other, and they save their lives but let the plutonium go. And this is what causes Angela Bassett to put Henry Cavill in the group to keep an eye on them. Now, at the same time, we have another newcomer, Vanessa Kirby, and she ends up playing someone in the movie called The White Widow. She's kind of an arms dealer and has to make some deals with Tom Cruise. Now, I'm not going to talk about the overall story other than what I just did. Just know that it was a story based on 3 nuclear bombs, and they were there to try to retrieve all the plutonium and stop the bombs from going off, which does lead to an incredible ending where we have Ethan Hunt's ex-wife also shows up at the end in a surprise twist. That's all I'm going to give away on the film, just in case people haven't seen it. But this film was pretty incredible. The action sequences in this movie were off the charts amazing. It starts out okay. The scene where they lose the plutonium at the beginning was, and I think it was plutonium, where they lose it at the beginning was a very interesting scene. And when they first had the meeting, I'm like, oh, this is just going to be another boring, it's going to be another run-of-the-mill Mission Impossible action sequence. But that's not what this ended up being. And then we end up, this movie is pretty freaking intense with all the action sequences. There's an incredible, probably the best helicopter chase that has ever been filmed. I almost felt like I was watching, a Top Gun movie with, with what's his name? Yeah, I hate it when I forget people's names right in the middle of a freaking review. That's what I get for getting older here. Tom Cruise. So funny. I know I get made fun for that, but it's just kind of goofy when things pop out of your head. But at any rate, that's kind of what it felt like. It felt like a Top Gun movie in that sequence, and it was intense. In fact, what really got me with this particular movie the first time I saw it, and I made this note to my wife on the way out, that my hands were actually gripping the theater seats. It was so tense, especially towards the end, and the stakes, and, Ethan's trying to save a bunch of people in this village and keep these bombs from going off. And, everything that was happening, I found that I was actually super gripping the theater seat because it was so intense, which I can't remember the last time a movie, I did anything like that in a film because of the intensity. And this movie goes from one action sequence to another. There's very little downtime. And even the downtime that they do have in the film does push the story further along. And a lot of it has to do with Henry Cavill's character. And you find out who he is later in the film, which was another nice twist in the movie. So everything was really well done. We had skydiving in this film. Obviously, we had Tom Cruise running like a maniac. And in fact, here's a fun tip that people may not know when they watch the film, and pay attention to this, because the next time you watch it, there is a specific scene towards the last third of the film where he is running to catch Henry Cavill's character, who is heading off to a building to go to take off in a helicopter. This isn't the helicopter sequence at the very end. This is prior to that. And Tom Cruise is having to run through an office building. He ends up on the top of another building as he jumps through the window. And then he's got to run and leap to another building, and he almost misses and catches the side. Next time you watch the movie, pay attention to that scene, because when they were filming this movie, Tom Cruise actually broke his ankle during that scene, and they left part of it in. When he gets up to try and run on the top of the building, you can see that his ankle buckles and he can't really run, but then they quickly cut it and then he's running again. So they had to do some creative editing there, but that was an actual stunt that he did and broke his ankle when he hit the side of the building. So if people don't know that, that's kind of an interesting fact. You can see that in the making of. I remember them talking about that in one of the previous, making ofs before the movie got released. They talked about how he got injured making the movie. So I'm actually, for this film, let's talk about stars. I gave this movie a full 5 stars. There wasn't any time in this movie where I felt bored. There wasn't any time where I wasn't engaged with what was happening on the screen. It was really well acted. The dialogue was good. This is a movie that really drags you into the world, and you're fascinated by everything that's going on. And that's rare with action films today. They're more mindless. Now, I hear that the new one might be a little mindless, that it gets into kind of Fast and Furious territory, which I'm not looking forward to. But people are kind of mixed on this, and I'll be able to give an honest review. It takes a lot to get me to give a movie 5 stars. It really does. The only other action film I've given 5 stars to recently was the new John Wick movie. That movie is freaking amazing. That is now one of my top 10 favorite action films of all time, John Wick 4. It's incredible. And I'm looking forward. They said that the director's cut, I didn't buy the new film because I know that they're going to be coming out with a director's cut eventually. And they said they're working on that director's cut now. So that's the version I want to get. And I hope we can pick up a pack that has both the theatrical and the director's cut on it. So I've kind of held off on purchasing that 4K disc for the time being. But I do have all of the Mission Impossible movies. I'm looking forward to repurchasing them all in 4K in a box set. And an interesting fact about this is Tom Cruise said he hopes he is making these movies into his 80s. And that's 20 years from now. I think he's in his 60s, or he's just barely about to turn 60. So if he's got another 20 years in him, there's quite a bit of action left to be had. As long as they keep the stories interesting and engaging, I'm all up for that. But to beat a dead horse, that I'm not looking forward if that's the route they go, because I've kind of felt that way with some of the James Bond movies. But anyway, there's my review for Mission Impossible Fallout, my favorite film of the first 6 films. I'm looking forward to the new one. I will be seeing it today, and I will have a review up as soon as I get back from the movies. I do appreciate it. We will see you on the next review.